Hello, this is Jan from Red Toad Studios. I hope you're having a fantastic day today and that you will enjoy working on our new art project, which is another abstract. Right now I'm calling this a lines and dot abstract. Now that isn't very imaginative, is it? But depending on the colors you use, you will get a different feel for this abstract. Now mine makes me think of rows in a field, or the layers of the earth, or maybe even another planet. I don't know. But if you did different, say, pastel colors in here, you'd get a totally different feel. So when you make your abstract, you can name it whatever you would like. So let's get on with what supplies you'll need. Now this is actually a type of mixed media, because we will use watercolors, we'll use some acrylic paint, and then we'll use markers. So we're using 3 different media to get this effect. And you may even want to use some more. There's so many things you can do with these, and they're really fun, and they're really easy. So let's just start at the beginning. You will need, I would suggest, watercolor paper, at least 140 pounds. That's what I'm using with these. That way your paper can withstand all this stuff you're going to do to it. What I'm using right now is about a 6x9. You can do bigger. You can do as big as you want, but I would suggest you start with about this size. You could go smaller, but then you wouldn't get much on here, would you? I think this is about the best size to start out with, and this is a half a sheet of your regular tablets of watercolor paper. You will need a ruler, a pencil. You might possibly need an eraser, but we're not really going to draw in this. We're only using our ruler and pencil to outline our frame. You will need something to tape your paper down on, and some tape to do that before you put the watercolors on. And yes, you will need watercolors. Now, I have used 2 different sets of watercolors on these. My daughter gave me this beautiful set of Artistro watercolors. She knows how much I love to try all the different sets out and see what the colors are, and look at all these beautiful colors. So when I used this set, I just picked out colors that I liked and used them straight from the pans. I did not mix a lot of colors. And they have beautiful colors in here. Now you may wonder which one that was. This was from that set. See all those neat colors? Just very interesting. I would say earthy, earth tone colors. And I love those colors. It would be pretty to have some gold or silver added into these. And then, just to show we can do it, this was done with our good old Crayola watercolors. Now, Crayola doesn't have these colors in a pan except for this purple. This purple came straight from a pan on Crayola. The rest of these we mixed. And I'm going to show you how to mix different colors and get an effect like this. Typically we look at Crayola and don't think about that we can mix all these beautiful, wonderful colors. And you know what? Perfectly honestly, I like my Crayola colors better than I do these pre-mixed ones. Something about them, and maybe it's because I mixed them myself and I like them. I just really like these a little better. And I have to apologize to Crayola. The other day I was trying to do a turquoise in our last video, and I said I couldn't get a turquoise this deep. Well, I lied, because when I was working on making colors for this, I came up with it. Look at these beautiful colors you can get out of Crayola. I cannot complain about these colors at all. As I say, in fact, I think I like them a little better than these. I did try to kind of match the same feel as the ones we had here, and I think I did pretty good. They're not exact. They have the same feel. If you look across at these and these, I got a lighter, here's your lighter color. My turquoise was a little darker turquoise, but I liked this. And here we have a blue. So today we're going to go the route of mixing our Crayolas, if that's what you have, or you have a cheaper brand and you don't have 48 colors like this gives you. Now, if you do have a set like this, any set you have that has all of these beautiful colors in it, hey, go ahead and use it. It's a lot of fun just to pick the pans out, match your paint, and go with it. And it will save you a little bit of time. But this doesn't take too long either, and that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how to mix up the paint. So, paint, that's the next thing you'll need. And you will also need a little bit of acrylic craft paint. Now, these are the kinds you can just pick up in like Walmart or your office store. Mine happens to be an Apple Barrel brand, but there's different brands. Maybe I should say it's also Plaid. Just a white paint. You could also use gouache if you have some of that. Paint pens. You could get a white paint pen, but my Walmart was out of them the other day. And this works great. Some white gel pens will do this too, so you'll just want to try out what you have on hand. These are very inexpensive. So far they've been under $1 for me. I mean, someday they may go up. And that's what we made our white dots and our white marks with. Let's see, what else besides paint will you need? Okay, you'll need your paintbrush. This is my watercolor paintbrush. And then I had a different paintbrush for my acrylics. And if you have them, these are, I think you call them styluses, and little sticks with knobs on the end. I'll be showing you how to use these. But you may not have these, and in place of these, you can use the tip end of like your paintbrushes, or even the tip end of a pencil with an eraser, an eraser that's in good shape. Now these came from a set you can get on Amazon that is for decorating rocks or painting rocks. And these are really neat for making dots because that's what they're specifically made for. So when we get to that point, I'll show you how to do it with these or to do it with your paintbrush ends and erasers. You will need something, just something, a little bit to hold your white paint in if you're using acrylics. And you will need black permanent markers, and I would suggest 2 sizes. I'm using Sharpie. If you have those, they're great, but any that you have that are permanent will work just fine. I use a Sharpie ultra fine point. That's this fine point, and one that has a little bit bigger point, which is just straight fine point. And that is what made all my black marks. Because you're really getting into little spots here, and it's really much easier to use your marker than it is to try to paint those. If you have a good black, you could give it a whirl, but this is easier and faster to use your black marker. Is there anything else you'll need? Well, of course, you'll need water for your watercolors, and a paper towel, and a little piece of paper to test your colors on. And I may have forgotten something, but that's mostly it. So, let's move on to step 1. In step 1, we are going to prepare our piece of paper. Now, your watercolor paper should have a different texture on each side. Decide which one you want. I like the bumpy texture. It just gives it more life and vibrancy. But you may prefer the smooth side. But I'm going to choose the little bumpier textured side. And we need to draw a little frame around it in order to keep this white edge. Now, if you don't want the white edge, don't bother with the frame. But I like the looks of a nice crisp white edge on my paintings. So the easy way to do that, grab a ruler, and I really like these see-through ruler, and about 1/4 of an inch, we're just going to draw lines across. Very simple. This will also give you a guideline of where to tape your picture down when you come to that point. There, that's all there is to it. Now we have our frame for a white border around our picture. Next we need to tape it to, well, either your tabletop or a board, or I am going to use a clipboard. Now this sometimes can kind of feel like it's in the way, but this is nice and handy. I can move it around, I can tip it, I can do whatever I want, and when I need to clean my workspace up, it's easy. So, I'm sure we've done this before in our videos, and you've done it too. We are going to tape it down so that when we add our paints, our paper does not buckle. Because this will come over. Now I misjudged right up here. If you see, I got some white spots showing. No big deal. Just come in and be sure those are covered so that you don't have a weird jog in your border. There we go. All taped up and ready to go. So let's lay this aside. And our next step will be to mix some colors. Now, if you have a big set, just skip this step and instead look through your set and pull out about 6 colors that you like the way they look. In fact, let me give you an illustration. See this big set here? And there's a bunch of colors. Go through and think, well, I like the brown. I like the earth tone look. This is a beautiful one. Pick it out. Well, maybe I want some green with it. And find a green you like. Pick it out. And continue until you have about 6 colors. And then place these in a little dish or whatever kind of palette you have. And work straight from these. Now, I do suggest if you have a set like this, you go through and number your pans, because once you've taken them out, you may not remember where to put them back. It took me a while to do that here, but I am ever so glad I did. So now we are going to go mix colors in Crayola. If you're not going to do that and you're going to do this other route, you can skip ahead in the video to where we start painting. Alright, all you Crayola and smaller set people. And this can include people with very expensive paints. Let's get our paint up here. Here we go. Think we can see all these? I think I will turn it that way. There we go. Can you see that? You will need water. I like to have my water in a dropper, an eyedropper, because it goes a little faster than spraying it with mist. Need my brush. May need some more water. I need my paper towel, a piece of paper to test my colors on. All right. I am going to activate or drop water on several of these. My brown, since I want an earth tone picture, is going to be used a lot. So I put several drops on that. I'm going to use blue, red, orange, and a yellow, and I'm going to use this yellow, and a green, and it depends. We have a very light green, and a very dark green, and a medium green. Crayola was very generous in their greens. And which one we add to brown will make a different color. So you may want to do a lot of playing around with this. I found it seems like every one of them made a beautiful color. And on that one I used a purple. I'm not sure if that's what I will still do, but we'll activate it anyway. Okay, now's the fun time. We're just going to experiment. We're going to make several different colors. In fact, let's see, we used 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6 different colors. So I'm going to make some puddles in these different little different areas there. And we're just going to play. It's a good idea with your colors is to play with mixing them. Don't start trying to learn how to mix on your very important piece of work that you're going to give away. Play. All right. Now brown's going to be my base color of this first one. So I'm going to dip into my softened brown and mix it right here. Get a good brown going. Now let's add some blue to that and see what happens. What do you think will happen? Before we mix it though, we need to wipe off our brush. Dip your brush in some water. You can't see my water. Maybe that'll work. Clean it off good. Now let's dip in. I'm going to try and see what my light blue will do. Now you might need to stir that blue up a little since it was just activated. Get a good brush full. Come over here and add it to that brown. Look what's happening. I see a very dark turquoise. Now I'm going to move my water back out of the way. You know it's there now. So you can see my scrap piece of paper. What have we got? We have a bluish turquoise. In fact, let's come and mix another one with brown. Actually, I think I've made too big of puddles. Alright, now let's try the dark blue. Alright, let's see what happens. Let's see what we have there. There we go. Now, I like that dark blue, kind of a steely gray color. Now, this is a keeper for me. This is going to be one of my lines on my abstract. So now let's try one where we add red and see what we can get. Clean my brush. Let's activate another one with brown here. Can you see that? Yeah, we got it. And let's try red. What do you think will happen? This is important to do in all of your paint sets. Find out what they will do mixed together in different combinations. And things will work in some sets that won't work in other sets. Now it will be totally different than this one that we mixed over here with blue and brown. This is red and brown. Let's see what we have. I'm hoping for kind of a burnt sienna. That's got a pinker tone to it, almost a coral tone. But isn't that pretty? In fact, I'm going to add a little more red to that. So probably in this process, what you're going to do is just mix until you find colors you like. If you haven't done a lot of color mixing or color mixed with Crayola, just go until you find a color you like, and then that will be what you use on your mixed media. Yeah, I like that color. It's not burnt sienna. I think we could probably get burnt sienna with maybe yellow or orange. Shall we try it? Let's clean our brush. So we've got two colors we like at this point. All right, let's get some more brown. In we go. And I don't really want this brown. I'm so jiggly. Sometimes it's nice to do your mixing in separate little containers, and then they won't overflow into each other. So now let's take this, and don't forget you do have your original brown you could use. It's like that. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Right there. We could use our original brown. Now let's add some orange to it, and I don't remember. I think this is orange. Let me check it out. Yeah, that's a beautiful bright orange there. Bring that over, and we're going to add it to the brown. Now these are fairly non-pigmented by the time we've mixed them. And so you might want to even do more than one layer. Let's see what we've got here. There we go. See, now we have a different brown altogether. I'm going to keep that one. It's almost a dark peachy brown. So we have three colors plus the original brown. I'll clean that up a little bit. Well, let's do something that has green mixed with brown and see what we get. Okay. Clean my brush. Let's get our brown out. And don't forget, you have one color already, is that the black of your marker will be used. And you don't have to stay with black. If you're wanting to do pastel colors, you can do any color marker you want. Shall we add, we'll just add medium green. How's that? But you will want to try with different greens, different things from the set you have. I'm not sure how this green will react. Interesting. Not sure. It's dark. Ready to see? Oh, it's like an olive green, and I like that. I do like that. See that olive green? See, when we paint with these, we're just going to dab them on our paper heavily, too, so we get kind of a mottled textured look. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, plus black, and I usually try to pick one color that I put on the way it is, but you know, let's do one more. Let's see if we can come up with a creamy color with yellow and brown for one more mixed color. All right, let's mix one more brown, and I've run out of room. Let's see if we can do it in this corner. Hopefully, it doesn't run too far. All righty. Little bit of brown. Now, let's add some yellow. We'll do this yellow back here. Aha. Yeah, we're lightening up. Could be I probably put too much brown in it. Let's see where we stand. Oh, no, I didn't. See that yellow there? In fact, we could probably stand a little more brown. You really don't know what a color is going to look like until you put it on paper, do you? Almost a leather color here, but here it's going to be, there we go, a pretty tan. I think we're going to stop there and start painting. Now So our next step is to start applying our watercolors to our paper. All right, now we want to leave a white line up here to add our black to, as you can see here. So the first thing we're going to do is put a line here, and then we're going to come down here and put one here, also leaving a good amount of space for black down here. So I'm going to start out with one of my browns. You can start out with whatever color you want to. And we're just going to kind of thickly splotch it on. This is all random. Every one of these will turn out different. Don't worry if you splatter or anything else. Just get a good amount of wet paint on dry paper. That's why we needed to tape it down, though, because this is wet and it will cause some wrinkling of your paper. Now I'm going to come down here and do the same thing and hope you have enough paint left. If not, you can always mix up some more. The hard part with mixing is getting the same mixture the next time. But you know, on this picture, it really won't matter much. This is a fun abstract because you don't have to worry about perfection or getting anything exactly the same way. And at first, it may look a little funny, but as you add your different layers, it starts to look really neat. I was surprised how much I liked mine. So, if you notice, we just have little cracks of black. We just have little cracks of black here between these colors where they didn't meet. So when you put the next colors on, make it a point to leave some places to put black. Now, I'm going to clean my brush. Let's move this closer. And I think I'm going to use my green next. So let's just come in here and get green added. Now, I have my paints quite a ways away over here, so I'm sorry about that time it takes me to get over there. If you had mixed these up in separate little containers, it wouldn't be a bad idea. You could have them right here close to your painting. Now, I'm quite a ways away here. I think I'm going to come up and get a little closer. That was kind of wide for my green, but that's all right. Every one of them is going to be different. Alrighty. I think I'll do the one that has yellow in it next. See, this is going to come out entirely different than the other two I did. But it's fun to see how they come out. And you can make either thick painted lines or skinny painted lines. Whatever your heart desires. And sometimes the paints will run together. And you know, that's fine too. Alrighty. Let's see, what have I not used? It's alright, I still have one that has blue in it. So I want to do a nice one with blue here in the center. Now these stripes this time were a bit thicker than the ones I did on my other one. We'll see how it turns out. It's not a big deal. Now I think I want to find a color straight from the pan that I kind of dab in between some of these, and I think I'm going to use blue. So I need to decide which blue I want to use. So this is light blue, which might be neat, and here is dark blue. Oh, I'm going to use dark blue. So noting that we will have a little black between every one of these. Wow, this really ran. I would say my table may be a little tipped for some reason. But I want to dab a little blue in between some of these to give it some life and excitement and a little bit of bright color there. Just dab it in there. Now I say I don't know how this is going to come out. I may like the others better. You may do some of these and hate them, and others you will just love. All right. The white that's left will be colored in black. Now, here's a hard stage. Probably the hardest stage of all. We have to let it dry. We have to let it just sit here and dry. Luckily for you, this will be dry in a second or two, and we can move on with the next steps. But for me, it will probably be at least a couple of hours because this is really wet. Anyway, I'll be back with you with the next step in just a few. Hey, we're back. Let's see if our painting is dry. It's a couple of hours later, and I think it's dry enough for us to continue on it. So, the next step we're going to do is add our black markers. So before doing that, let's untape it. First thing, let's take our fine point Sharpie and draw around our border. Okay, let's start at one end, and we are going to fill in this end with black. To begin that, let's just trace along the edge of this color that we put in. And then what we want to do is fill this in. Now, with your markers, don't just scribble these in like this. You'll never get a smooth, velvety color. Start at one end and do tiny circles or ovals and just fill it in and work along your wet edges. And that will help you not get streaks in your background color. Have you ever seen someone that's worked with a marker and their work is all streaky? Even if it's been completely covered in, it's streaky. We want to move that wet edge out. I would color here, and then I'd come along here and color here and color here. You don't really want to do that. You want to follow that wet edge out and around as much as you can. And take your time. And that is one thing this will take. It will take quite a bit of time. So, I am going to finish filling in this end and doing the same with this end, and then I will be right back with you. There we have our first two big black lines put in. And it always amazes me how something that really is pretty ugly at this stage, when we add the black, suddenly starts to contrast. And, well, you know, that kind of looks neat, doesn't it? And I actually love the way that black came out next to this kind of a coral color. And also what amazes me is how this one is coming out so much different than my last two. It's really fun to watch it. Now our next step is to put black in these white spots. Now some of these are large enough we can use our big pen, but most of it we'll need to use our ultra fine point Sharpie to put in the smaller spots. As for instance, this right here, get this right where you can see it. It's a pretty good little area, so we can go in, outline that with our bigger pen, and you could probably do all of it with your big pen if you're in a hurry, because it takes longer with your finer point pen, but you can get finer point work done too. And then after you've outlined a section, fill it in like you did your ends. Fill it in carefully so it's a nice silky black. It's not, maybe the word velvety would be better, because there are little variations in the texture, but it's not scribbly or scratchy. It's velvety. Look at that. See how that looks neat there? And at some point, I'm going to make one of these and use some touches of gold in it. But my guess is most of you don't have any gold paint on hand right now, so we won't do that. But that's something you could try, because I think it would be beautiful. Here's another little larger spot that we can do with our big pen. Look at that little tiny dot. Sketch it. We caught it. And fill that in. Isn't that fun? You have to have patience. This is a very easy abstract, but it does require some patience. Now let me show you one being done with our ultra fine. Let's just start right here on this corner. This is a very small one, so we will do it the same way. We come in, outline it, and then fill it. It will just take longer to fill them because it's a tinier line. But look, the black is the same. Look at this tiny one here. If I can do this from the side so you can see what I'm doing. And if you make a joggle into the paint, it doesn't matter. Your black is darker than all of it, and it will cover anything. Just fill in this shape regardless. Now, once you move to this tiny little pen, it will take longer yet. But it is so worth it to do this stage well. And just like for these ends, this takes a while. So I am going to go ahead and fill in all my black spots, and then I'll be back with you. All right, I am just about finished. Now, to give you a couple hints, as you go over this with your pen, and if there's spots that maybe aren't totally dry, your pen will stop working. And you just need to come over and give your pen a scribble and clear off the tip, because it will plug up a tip. There we go. And then you can continue on until it plugs up again, and then clean it again. I just love this. I was not too happy with this at first. It just It didn't seem pretty. But adding that black, I don't know. It gives me kind of something primal when I look at this. Something of the earth. As I was working on it, it's like I could feel the sands of the desert being blown. I don't know. It's just kind of neat. So now we have another layer to put on. We're going to put marks on top. Notice we have marks we've made with our black. Different kinds of marks. Simple marks. And then we have marks we've made with our fine point. Look at these dots. And then we have white marks for contrast. These dots here, we have dots here, different pattern of dots, dots here, and that pattern repeated. So our next step is to put our black lines on. And I think I'm going to do dots like this on this coral color. And for that, we need our fine point, or our thicker pointed marker. And all we're going to do is make dots. Try to keep these dots random looking, not like they're in a straight fashion. And it's kind of hard not to put them in a straight fashion. Just come along and put dots in. Take your time. Enjoy the process. Don't hurry through it. Now, I'm trying to decide where this bled into this other color. Should I follow this design down? I think maybe I should. We'll keep the dots going. Now, I've never done this before. We'll see how it looks. It should be fine. All right, we have our dots in. Now I think I want to do, I love this design. Now this is a little tricky. Maybe I should show you on a corner of this piece of paper. I can even show you on the back. I'll show you with my little thin liner. Say we have an area, something like this. Here's my pencil not wanting to work, or my pen. We will start at some point and do 3 lines. See how those lines? There's 3 lines there. And then we'll twist this, and we'll have 3 lines coming from a different direction. 1, 2, 3. You see that? And then go back and go the original direction. 2, 3. Flip back and go your opposite direction. And just keep working through the shape like that. Don't you just like that pattern? It looks difficult, but it's not once you get your lines started. See how that works? So let's go over and decide which ones are going to get that interesting shape. Let's put it on this one. So here we go. Let's see what we can do. I know you can't see through my hand, but I'm not quite sure how to draw without covering up what I'm doing. 1, 2, 3. You see the 3 lines? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. You could try this with differing amount of lines. I like 3. You could try it with 4. 5. I imagine you could even try it with 2. There we go. I love that line in there. Now, let's see. What else should we put in? I like this line. I have it in here twice, but I'm thinking we may only do it once. I think we'll do it on this one. So that is just drawing curvy lines, and then in every other section we do some dots. So these lines need to just kind of follow along with the curve of your little section here. They don't need to be straight lines. You could there we go. Now let's put dots in every other one. We'll start right here. We're just going to do a line of dots. We don't need to fill it totally up. And these are just suggestions. If you have some shapes you can think of to use, you go for it. Any shapes will work here, any patterns. And when you do a bigger one, which I'm really wanting to do a bigger one, then you can use more shapes. Has a name come to you yet for your picture? This one, I don't know why, but I'm going to name this one Desert Sands. I think it's because of these sandy colors I have in here. Remind me of the sand dunes. I lived in Arizona at one time and rode my horses a lot in the sand dunes. And a layer of sand blowing over a layer underneath it was just beautiful. And it kind of gave me the feeling of these here where we have colors overlapping each other. Let's do something with this one. Let's do something like this right here. Whoops, let me get it down here where you can see it. Can you see that? Little curly cues. Although, I might make these a little bigger to go along with those shapes. Now, I need to clean my pen. There we go. I'm going to name this picture Desert Winds. And just to prove, well, this doesn't prove anything, but I used to have a horse when I was out there, and I named my horse Sandstorm. So I think I must just really love the sand and the way it looks. Now we're going to leave the rest of these, see, this one and these two, I believe, for some white. So our next step is to add some white paint. So let me show you how to get ready for that. You'll need something to put your paint in. Now, as I said earlier, if you've got a good white gel marker or a good white paint pen, those will work very well. Mine happen to be dry. So I'm going to use acrylic paint, and this works just fine. Apple Barrel, but any brand will do, and these are very inexpensive. Just some liquid acrylic craft paint, and just a dab will do. Little bit of paint out. I don't know if you can see that since that's white. Now, you could put dots in with the end of your different paintbrushes if you want. But you know, let's see. And you can put dots in with these. And you can put dots in with the end of a pencil that has a nice flat eraser on it. Let me show you with each one of these things. I want two larger dots down here. I'm going to put my eraser straight down into white paint and straight down on my picture. See what a nice circle? So let's make one more right here. So back into the paint, so I have a fresh coating of paint, and lightly tap right here. Great big nice fat dot. Now, I don't think I want that type of dot on the rest of it. I want to show you how to do the others. Clean your eraser off. You could also use the end of a paintbrush. So I'm going to make some smaller dots right through here. In my paint, straight down. Try to go down without wiggling and wobbling. Now, if I did wiggle or wobble and got paint on this black where I didn't want it, the fix is to let it dry and then come back with your black marker after it's dried and cover it up. So it's not so tragic after all. And I suggest going back into the paint every time and refreshing that tip. There we go. And when you're done with your paintbrush, just clean off the end. Now I'm going to show you with these tools. I think we'll do a big dot and a little dot, big dot, little dot. Now look at this. This could be a very big one, and I'm not sure if I want it that big, but let's see what it'll do. Straight down. Now, depending on how deep I put this in paint, it will affect the size of my dot. Here we go. There we go. That's a perfect dot. Straight down again. We're going to leave a spot for a smaller dot. Another one. This is much easier in the long run than trying to paint in circles, because it's hard to get them all the same size. One more here. There we go. I really don't know what these are called, but that's the set on Amazon comes with several of these in all different sizes. It comes with several of these. I don't know if you can see the little stylus ends. And several of these, which are just flat ends. These have the same effect as your pencil and eraser did. So now I want a smaller dot in there. And I think this little see-through one here has about the right size end. So straight in my white paint. Yes, just what I wanted. Straight down in the paint. Straight down. One more time. Yes. Now I think we should do some kind of a little flower design, like a dot with dots around it for flower petals. So I'm going to use this one for the center. We'll put one right there. One right there. There we go. Now, time to clean this one off. Always remember to clean your tools off. And let's use this stylus, the little metal one. We'll use this little bigger end here. Now, again, the set comes with several different sizes of these, and they make nice small dots. So I'm going to put them on as if they were petals on my flower. See, there we go. Look at that. I really like this one. Now, we haven't done anything with this one, should we? It's fairly busy as it is with all these little things coming in. What I think I'll do is put white dots in between the blue and the coral color. Now, there's one sad thing about this. Once I put something in, you have to stay with it. I might say, well, I didn't like doing that, but I can't take it back. That's why I'd suggest you make several of these, and pretty soon you'll know what designs you really like. Yes, I think this works just fine. Ooh, and see? I did a good job dotting this down here, but I smeared it with my hand. So I will have to fix that when it's dry with my black ink. Okay, I think maybe, do I need any more? Maybe one right there. Let's put one right down here at the bottom. And I'm going to call that enough marks. Before you quit there, wipe off the end of this little thing. Move this out of the way. And here is our finished picture. Except for fixing this right here. Now, that will only take a couple seconds, but I do have to wait until it's dry. So let's sign it. I'm going to name this Desert Winds, so I'm going to write it under my picture here. Now, if I frame it, that won't show. And then I'm going to initial it over here with the year. Now you can find how you want to sign your artwork. I don't usually write a name on it, but I don't know. I kind of just like that. All right. We have finished our picture. There is our finished abstract. It started out being called a line and dot abstract or a dot and line abstract. Don't remember. It is now a desert sands. So here's all three of my abstracts. 2 done with Crayola and 1 done with our other larger set. And you know, I like every one of them. But this last one that I didn't think I was going to like, as I made it, has some of my favorite colors in it. I think those are so pretty. Well, I hope you enjoy making these. Try everything you can think of. Use your stamp pads on it. You might not be able, you could probably use your ink, but you can use your stamps with paint. Just be sure you clean them off well. Or draw on them. And use metallics. I think the metallics would be great on here. If you do one, put it up on our Facebook site and show us all what they look like. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will be back with another abstract in a few days. So bye-bye for now.